This is CNR Extra live here on Citi TV. Hello and welcome. My name is Lartey. Lartey, coming up. National Disaster Management Organization NADMO began in distribution of relief items to victims of Weija Dam spillage. Also coming up, President Akufo-Addo warns appointees of his government involved in illegal mining will be punished if caught.
It is obvious that if we are to win the fight, you and I have to take the lead to collaborate closely to do so.
Still to come on CNR Extra, government increases producer price for cocoa by 21% effective Friday, October 14 for the 2022-2023 crop season.
Ghana has increased the producer price of cocoa by 21%.
And much later, Ukrainian arrested for attempting to bribe a police officer after he was arrested for flouting traffic regulations on the Accra-Tema motorway during CCTV's War Against Indiscipline campaign.
You've been here for a while with us, and I don't think it was in the right direction for you to offer this to the police.
100%, but if you understand, I'm under pressure.
Hello again. We've got details of these stories and more if you do stay with us here on CNR Extra. The show is interactive. Share your thoughts with us via WhatsApp 0550585832 or go onto Facebook and Twitter where the live stream is currently there and you can join in the conversations with your comments there. Let me welcome specially in studio today my colleague Hanson Agyemang, who joins us for the conversation. Good to see you, Hanson. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Right, let's get started. And it's been 3 clear days after floodwaters took over Weija and its environs because of the spillage of the Weija Dam. Residents there are still struggling to cope with the situation. They are asking for some respite. And NADMO says it has also commenced the distribution of relief items. Here is the rest of the story.
If you live in Western Accra, the water that you drink from the taps in your home come from here. This is the Weija Dam in the Weija municipality. It is a dam that has been built on the Densu River, except that the water has become too much. The Ghana Water Company Limited, which operates this dam, has decided that based on the levels of the water, there's a need for the spill gates to be opened. Behind me, these big gates have been opened. 1, 2, 3, 4 spill gates have been opened, and the water is gushing out as if nobody's business. So you see how turbulent it looks here? This is just at the foot of the gate. But if it goes beyond and you follow this water, which we are going to do here on the Citi newsroom, there are communities perched on top of that mountain, and community members have been inundated. Houses have been submerged. Vehicles have been submerged. Life has essentially come to a standstill here. People have fled from their homes because they cannot live with the water. So on the Citi newsroom, we're here to follow the water, and we'll be glad if you follow us on this story of the Weija Dam spillage and the consequence on the community members. So if you live in this community, you get to the junction, branch and drive home, it becomes a challenge. You either walk, but perhaps people who have high cars like this one may succeed. This woman, this vehicle appears to be returning home. There are several other people who are coming through carrying all manner of belongings. And if you look beyond, there's a Kia truck that is wading through the water, making an attempt, a desperate one it is, to move through this water to the junction. This woman is holding a load. How far have you been walking for?
I've been walking for like 15 to 20 minutes.
Where are you going to now?
I'm looking for a place to stay. Now I'm going to Kaswa.
Well, you left your house?
Yes, I have to.
And
because
this all you could...
is on my waist and I can't enter, so I have to go.
So where did you sleep last night?
I went to Kaswa.
And
with a family member.
so this is the most essential of your stuff.
My baby clothes. So for me personally, I couldn't take anything, so I have to pick some for my kid.
And where is the baby?
She's with my mother at Kaswa.
So you've locked the house, left it, and
Yes, that's what we can do.
Well, this area is known as Sampa Valley, and you see people have been wading out of their homes to the main road. If you have a vehicle like this person, you can easily drive through. He's driving a Ford car, so he can speed through. What's happening ahead is a bit curious, which I'm going to actually look at now. Someone appears to be pumping the water out of their home, and I'm just wondering what the point really is. In the meantime, my company that I've been following, the journey is a bit long. They are continuing with that journey, so I have to just say goodbye to them. Thank you for speaking to us. We can't follow you further. We'll just speak to these people here. I see what you are doing, but I still want to ask, what are you doing? Because how can you be pumping water out of water in water? It doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, I don't know. Like, the water is too much. So this one is our warehouse. So we are trying to bring the water out because of the goods, because we have almost billions of dollars goods inside the warehouse. So it's not that I'm pumping the water out for the water to dry, but the warehouse is like, the water is full in the warehouse, so I need to pump it out because of the goods. So if for the compound own, it can dry because we have seen what happened. So, but for the warehouse own, it's very important because of the goods. So
what kind of goods do you have in there?
Like the hospital's equipment, bed, and some things like hospital equipment.
Well, the National Disaster Management Organization, with officials of the Gan South Municipality and the Weija Municipality, are touring these communities to have first-hand information on what the situation is to enable them take a decision and an action on the situation. We've caught up with the convoy, which is currently moving around town. At the Bojo Beach, the team is embarking on a boat to go to the site where the water from the community 10 minutes into the sea to check the level of work, which has been started on Tuesday, which is going to help in a lot of ways to ensure the flow of water outside the community from the Weija Dam into the sea. Let me just speak to the municipal chief executive for this area. He understands this geography better than many. Mr. MC, so where are we now and where are we going to?
Where we are now is called Chukume, which is in the Gasouth Municipal Assembly. You know, we share boundary with the Gasouth. So that is where the estuary is located. We did open it somewhere yesterday, and I believe we'll witness what is happening over there. It's very active, which is taking the water out of the community, and I believe by close of day we should have the waters receding in the communities.
So this is a strategy to get more of the water out of the community.
Absolutely, that's it.
The water is stagnant there, so you have to find route for it, because water will naturally flow into the sea.
You know, we have two outlets. One is at Riaboman. That one is naturally active. But then this one is added to it anytime we have a lot of water in the community. This is just a support to make sure we get all the water quickly out of the community.
The Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization is actually leading this team too. He's also on the boat with us. DG, rescue efforts are not new to you. Moving in water bodies, searching for people who may have been trapped is not new for you. But since you've been touring the communities today, what has struck you the most?
Yeah, well, I think we need to do a lot of demolition, and I'm happy the MCE here, the assembly, they have started already, even though people have been insulting them and whatever, but I think they need to continue, because looking at where the spillage was done, and it was going through, but the buffers of the rivers, people are staying there, people have built unauthorized structures. You know, initially the place was supposed to be for irrigation, and they have taken there illegally. The assembly hasn't given anybody's permit there. So I think when the water recedes, we need to do more demolition, which the assembly has been doing, so government need to support the assembly. It's illegal in the sense that that place is not earmarked for construction of buildings, houses, okay. Houses for people to live there. Okay. The place was initially for irrigation purposes, and they are buffers of the rivers. Buffers of our rivers should not be used for construction of houses or other development. This is purely a natural disaster. It is natural because the Weija Dam is full, If you don't spill it, you also get problem.
It will collapse.
It will collapse.
You don't want to do that.
You don't want it to collapse. So we need to spill it. You need to open it. The moment you open it, it has to pass through its course.
But can we open it in a regulated manner so that it doesn't affect people?
It depends on the level, you know. It depends on the level. You know, the Weija Dam, the level should always be at 47 or 47 point something. But at this time, it has gotten to 49. You know, when it got to 48, they were waiting to see maybe it won't get to 49 so that they will maintain it. But it got to 49. When it gets to 49, we might spoil all the turbines and everything, and therefore they need to spill some of the water.
So what key things have you done? What key interventions, apart from rescuing people, what else are you doing? Are you giving them supplies? Do you have enough?
Yes, when there's disaster, people call for relief items first, but no, we need to do rescue, search and rescue. And then we do assessment. These are all part of the assessment. Currently, the headquarters of NADMO is getting things ready. By this evening, it will get to the assembly, and by tomorrow morning, we start giving them relief. We have relief.
TV, we are at the estuary now, which is the point of intersection between the water from the community center into the sea. Now, to my left, as you can see, the water flowing into the sea. This is where the water is supposed to terminate. This has been opened to ensure that water moves in, and it is indeed moving swiftly. These are volumes. This is Citi Newsroom on Citi TV, bringing you coverage of the flooding situation in the Weija municipality.
Well, as expected, NADMO has stepped in with the provision of, relief items, but 3 days already gone and residents still in a difficult situation. And so expedition, if you ask me, is the word here, because NADMO must ensure that these items meet the immediate needs of, the affected persons in that particular area. But NADMO has the capacity to deliver?
Well, we hope so. And the NADMO director clearly has indicated that they've made provisions for them, and so we will hope so, and we want to believe that NADMO indeed can do that. And for me, I think that the essence of this spillage cannot be overemphasized, and it meets the various principles of public interest, because even though it is destroying people's homes and in a way putting a halt onto the normal activities of people who live within that enclave, the opportunity cost of not spilling will be more dangerous if the dam gets destroyed. Some experts even say that we may need close to 60 years to be able to rebuild the dam. But for me, I think that the Ghana Water Company Limited, their reaction post-spillage, I think that we need to look at it carefully. Perhaps maybe because they themselves are a bit tired of always ringing the warning bells and moving to warn people to move to safety. But regardless, since people have still not adhered to this, and these are human lives that we are talking about, even though you have the assembly taking the lead in this, NADMO supporting, the dam is managed by the Ghana Water Company Limited. I want to agree that the Ghana Water Company Limited better understands the waterways and where ordinarily the water spilled is supposed to go through, and where has been encroached, for which reason the water will now have to move to the homes of people. And even with the, if I could say, stubbornness of the people who stay around those areas and who have been affected, I think that in the same way, the assembly, which has a responsibility of demolishing those structures or asking those people to evacuate, have stepped in to make sure that people are safe. The Ghana Water Company Limited should, as a matter of urgency, also be directly involved and in helping to ring the bell for people to move to safe zones, even after the spillage. And even this time around, we've had a lot of the residents tell us that Ghana Water Company Limited did not go around with its warning signs this time around as we would usually have had in previous years. So essentially, I think that the Ghana Water Company Limited did not absolve itself of any of these responsibilities that other organizations are engaging themselves in.
Exactly, Hanson, I agree with you. And you could also say that because of the fatigue, that's why, because I've also heard that they said they began warning residents way back in April, but this is in October. At least a month or 2 weeks notice could have helped situations. But NADMO has admitted the challenge. It says that when the water recedes, they are looking forward to collaborating with, the authorities to ensure that encroachers are removed from the buffers of the river. People who are also, building at unauthorized places will also be ejected. These are things
And I think that Weija itself should be targeted as a national security concern, because we're looking at a place which a number of houses are on tremor lines. A lot of buildings on hilly areas that, in case there's a mudslide or any of that sort, the casualties that we will record, we cannot in any way contain. So I think that what the NADMO director has said, it shouldn't just be words. And when we speak to the assembly tell us that some of these things are beyond the capacity of the assemblies. They do not have the financial muscles to undertake some of these projects. For instance, having a permanent estuary to make sure that the waters that are spilled flow directly into the sea, and that that channel is not blocked by filth and by sand and other things. The assembly clearly tells us that they do not have the financial muscles to do so. I think the central government should be interested and should back the assemblies. We shouldn't just leave it to the assemblies, but there should be a central government decision to move to Weija, and all those houses that are either on the course on the waterway, or either on the tremor lines or earthquake lines. All these buildings should be removed, because the danger this particular situation poses will be will be difficult to contain. And mind you, look at where that place is. A lot of people now work in Accra and come all the way from Kaswa, and sometimes when these disasters happen, they are trapped. People are caught in the middle. So we might say that it's their own doing, but innocent people who are just using the road that has been constructed by the government just to come to work to Accra might be caught up in the middle. Well, really hard point in there, Hanson, but let's stay a while longer on, dam spillage, but this time around in the Upper East region, because a month after the spillage of the Bagre Dam, farmers and victims say government has not done enough for them. Here's why.
Meanwhile, farmers who farm along the Wide Volta in the Talensi district of the Upper East region have accused the government of neglect following the spillage of the Bagre Dam from neighboring Burkina Faso. The spillage has submerged hundreds of farmlands, destroying farm produce and leaving farmers in a state of hopelessness. Now, the farmers describe as unfortunate the government's refusal to empathize with them for their loss and provide immediate support. They want the government to urgently intervene.
Authorities of Bagre Dam in neighboring Burkina Faso commenced spillage of the dam on September 1, 2022 to prevent any breakage of the dam's banks. Spilled water from the Bagre Dam has completely submerged crops of all farms along the White Volta in 6 districts of the Upper East region. The farmers who have lost their farm produce to the spilled waters say they are left to their fate without any support. Since the spillage of the Bagre Dam and its impact on farmlands, government institutions are yet to visit affected farms to assess the situation and provide support services to farmers.
Yelmer Sagani, Kakumata Tondutunshilla, but I Burkina dem Bukulaba, Kabata, Lala Wabo, so Pamu, Kanina, Boyshil comes to Abazang Mucha. Lamanta Digital Line Wahala and Chenta, like Queen Sobotana, Governor Nilbuta, Uyotaka, when ye I could detour, the Yel Akane. Karaman never will Nisa Lola Bon Cover, Kalakan Salaba. Karaman Bangi need bay, now one back a base and a bay.
Cola sounds local la paz and been at Burkina you call about Ghana. The Ghana and moment of Bonananga. They need to have one of me in the Cola sounds local paz and be. But Ninian is oh, you'll make the banker. Cola says a lola paz and advance living at Tonabo Ninger Mother. Bama put in it, oh, you'll make it. Eh, they say to the Tumba to one be cooler. They may want to follow the dollar Sam, but living about us some hobo.
Mambut new bones of the sea or Bunyan Zola. Nan Monday by one of be bones of Gid Santa Lola Silla. The song second I would to a song. To me, but Mokayan song song say corner carget la Nanya in a ma to buy bamboo to sell a fila. The one song to make the king Jim Bitmo and see Janapa.
The farmers want government to immediately assess the damage on farmlands and assist them survive.
One killer. One about one sound to Lola Wabe, Namasa Salacalabana More, Kulama killing Gabala, Nakazo, Kulama Diata Paila, to Tinaka womb, none more. To a 1 to Kulaja on one to a Basson to Bana and one Tinacomba to.
Which I say, she'll come back and Saladi. Bantalaban tong na salab ni di kabin di ulang ati yel kam no tamar borgo katete na bod batu en song ni ne bombora ka television wel tene ensim song ni nim be boshel kam inna nya dam wa kama jini to nyi majin kwa wa man majin wa na tundi bombora lam za en ka shelina
awa na bi hani te to ba to song to banya disaka o batawan banya kayano mu batawan yu song to kangala ta gazi te dokro ba edit tita Matoga Maputin and all this symbol. A man looking by a Congo and the evening. Oh, where Bacanya deal at the Padma, but I can't go song the 15.
But the Upper East Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Jerry Asamani, shared in the plight of the affected farmers and assured that his outfit will soon intervene.
As it stands now, most lands are submerged in water, and then reptiles are displaced in their habitats. So definitely the problem is that getting into the water, into the farms with water submerged, with crops submerged, we could run into troubles with attacks from reptiles.
Mr. Asamani assured that affected farmers will be supported after a thorough assessment.
In disaster theory, you don't rush with relief items to victims. It is when you are sure of what the victims really need that you can go in. But what I'm trying to say is, we understand the problem, the misunderstanding of NADMO. They always think that we should be able to rush with relief items immediately it happens. But fortunately, people have not been displaced this year.
The farmers who have lost all their farm produce to the spilled waters from Bagre Dam are disappointed in government for not showing leadership by coming over to their farms to assess the extent of damage caused by the flood waters and provide them with some support services. For Citi News, Frederick Awi, Palugo.
Well, is there a way to sustain the kind of support offered victims in this particular case? Because more often than not, the first step always has to do with bring us relief items. The relief items are brought, although inadequate. Months or weeks later, residents or victims will start complaining that we've been neglected. For how long? Maybe time for us to have some proper livelihood adaptation strategies.
So, but the solution, and for which to a large extent experts have agreed or analysts have agreed to, and for which government have begun processes and showed some level of commitment, is a Palugo multi-purpose dam. And for years, we really are yet to see when that particular project will be completed, because it is expected to be constructed in a manner in which such water that is spilled will be channeled into the Palugo multipurpose dam, and the water will be used for a lot of activities irrigation inclusive, which will go to the benefit of
because
these
of where these
farmers. Aside that, because if a day you have your own farm that you can go there, take your own yam or cassava from there, take your tomato from here, add a little 2 cedis, buy something, and cook, and you can fend for yourself. But the food that NADMO will bring for all, I mean, and at times for some of, there are no even varieties. So of course, and you know human, the sort of human behavior.
Taste,
so beginning everybody, because you are in distress, you would appreciate what is being done for you. But if you get to eat rice for, say, 2 months, 3 months until the spillage ends and the water recedes and you go back to farming, go back to your normal life, you begin to get some of these complaints. And just in the same way we're talking about the Weija Dam spillage, I think that some of these things we should move beyond the rhetorics and make frantic efforts to ensure that at least the solutions that we have identified ourselves, there's some form of commitment to get them done.
Exactly. And so unlike, Weija, where a lot of, properties are destroyed, in the Upper East region, it's usually farmlands, people depending heavily on their, livelihoods as a result of the farming activities they do there. So I really think that government really has to step in, because this issue, as we always know, comes in year after year, and it looks as if the situation has not really changed in the past years. But this is still CNR Extra here on Citi TV with me, Neil Lartey. In studio with me here today is Citi News' Hanson Agyemang. Still to come though, President Akufo-Addo warns appointees of his government involved in illegal mining will be punished if caught. Please stay with us for this story and more on CNR Extra. You're welcome back to CNR Extra here on Citi TV. My name is Neil Lartey. The show is interactive. Let's hear from you on the stories we are bringing you via WhatsApp 0550585832 or on Facebook and Twitter. You can drop in your comments there and then we will read it out to the rest of the world. Well, President Akufo-Addo yesterday met with the National House of Chiefs and some MMDCEs. He admitted that the fight against Ghana's insistence to end illegal mining cannot be won if political actors do not also desist from the practice. He has said that he will not shield any government appointees caught in the action.
President Akufo-Addo has served notice he will not protect any appointee of his if evidence is brought against them as being involved in illegal mining in their respective districts. He maintains that metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives cannot compromise the efforts of the central government in the fight against illegal mining. The president held separate meetings with members of the National House of Chiefs, some regional ministers and MMDCEs, and called for support to help with the fight. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani has more.
There have been heightened calls for a lasting solution to the illegal mining menace following the continuous destruction of water bodies and the environment. The National House of Chiefs expressed concerns about the devastation caused to the environment by the activities of illegal miners.
The effects of illegal mining on the environment threaten the survival of water bodies, farmlands, the cocoa industries, and even encourages school dropouts as well as undermines the revenue mobilization drive of the country.
President Akufo-Addo says despite measures the government put in place to fight the menace, it has not been easy.
It was an important aspect of my inaugural address of that day. It has not been easy. It has not been popular. And we have not got the immediate results that I was looking for. Indeed, in the last elections of 2020, my stance on the issue cost my party and I significant losses in the mining communities. It turned out that my statement that I was putting my presidency on the line in the fight against Galamsey was neither bombast nor recklessness. It was the simple truth.
He called for support from chiefs to help address the illegal mining menace.
But one of the most significant, which I have to state now, is to seek your assistance to take partisan political interests out of the fight against Galamsey. It can only succeed if it is a truly national battle, which no one seeks to exploit for political gain, as we saw in the last election.
The president, during a meeting with MMDCEs and regional ministers from mining districts and regions, did not mince words when he stressed he will not protect appointees who are found culpable in illegal mining activities.
You are my representatives in each of your metropolises, municipalities, and districts. You are the representatives of the president. It cannot be that the president at the national level is waging a war against Galamsey, and you at the local level, my representatives, are compromising that fight. That cannot work. I'm not here to threaten anybody, but I want you to know that this is a struggle that I take very seriously. And I will not be in a position to protect anybody against whom evidence is marshaled to show their complicity. I won't do it.
Central Regional Minister spoke about some measures being taken in that region to help stop illegal mining.
For Central Region, we have 6 districts engaging in mining activities. Not all of them are doing illegal mining. So we are going to step up our game in monitoring, in engaging the people, the chiefs, everybody who matter, so that we'll be able to take away the illegalities of those destroying our water bodies.
The Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development tells Citi News such engagement with appointees will continue across the country to help find a lasting solution to illegal mining.
That's part of the process we've done, and we have been doing that all along. We are having meetings with them. You have grouped them into zones, and we are having meetings with them about their functions, what they should do. Because in their work, all departments within their district are under the municipal assembly.
How many names do you have now?
We don't have any name.
The president, after addressing both meetings, held closed-door sessions with the chiefs and his appointees and had extensive discussions with them on the subject matter. The president is hopeful such engagement will help win the fight against illegal mining, but he was emphatic and called for support from the chiefs and the MMDCEs to help win this fight. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Kumasi.
Well, having listened to President Akufo-Addo yesterday, one thing was clear, that he has admitted that the war against illegal mining has become a fiasco, and rightly so, because of partisan politics, which he says that is one of the numerous reasons why we have not been able to win the fight against illegal mining. But then again, while he was cautioning, he was also making some remarks to the effect that if he's able to tackle this particular issue, it will help the party break the 8. Isn't that contradictory?
Well, I mean, you would admit that political parties are created to win power, and ultimately, when they engage in their activities, they would also want to look at the electoral fortunes that comes with it, and that's why you hear the president and other government appointees and persons associated to the NPP continuously hit on this electoral consequence that they talk about, particularly in the Western region and in mining communities.
But even with that, is that actually the case? Because, Hanson, don't you think there are other factors that will contribute to, a political party losing votes in a particular constituency other than just Galamsey?
Well, until you go beyond the figures and be able to prove really that aside the issue of illegal mining, this is what might have led. But if they have done their trend analysis, and per their trend analysis, the constituencies that are that were heavily engaged in illegal mining, they lost votes which they thought they shouldn't have lost. And there's that sort of correlation that you can draw. You want to give them that analogy if that's how they want to take it. But yes, so until we go beyond that and say that there were specific issues, but that does not that we take out the fact that there may be other specific issues. But my point basically is that regardless of whether the NPP will win 2024 election, if they fight illegal mining well or not, I think that at some point in time, the national interest should override any other interest. And you may want to believe or agree with the president at this point in time, but also want to be cautious and say that we want to see results and not necessarily efforts, because if it's about efforts, we've seen I put my presidency on the line. We've seen the ban on small-scale mining for close to 2 or 3 years. We've seen the deployment of militaries, and these are huge sums of money that have been put into these galamsey operations. But
no results.
But no results. If you go to the various, the major river bodies, the color of the water tells the story itself. So I think that it is time that we review our fight against the illegal mining. And I think that one way we can win this fight is to win it from within. So this is not only to the NPP, but in the next election or in the next 2 elections, whichever party comes to power, if we are winning the fight against illegal mining, we need to win it from the people within those parties who are doing the illegal mining. And I think that there's a test case for the NPP as of now. There's the issue of Agyemang, who will let go the first time. There's the issue of Akonta mines, which publications suggest that some politically exposed persons are linked to this particular mining company. Our legal process is structured in such a manner that no matter what you are accused of, you have a right to explain yourself. And I'm not saying these people should be made not to explain themselves. But my point is that we should make these people go through the legal process fairly. And if indeed these politically exposed persons are engaged in some illegal mining activities and they are able to be dealt with, it sends a strong signal. And note some of these politically exposed persons that we are talking about are big names within the New Patriotic Party. So if the process goes on, and I'm not sitting here to say that when that sort of probe or prosecution goes on, somebody will be found wanting. But if it goes on, regardless of how it ends, it will send a signal to those within the political space that if you are caught, you would also go through the prosecution. That will be a signal to any other person outside the political space also engaging in illegal mining. And what this does is that it brings that collective support, because now there are people who are saying that, well, you say we shouldn't engage in illegal mining, but there are people close to you who are involved in illegal mining who you've not done anything to. So these people, who may not be politically exposed, would not support you and be doing things against the fight. So to get a collective fight going forward, I think these two cases, Agyemang and the Akonta mines case, presents a test case for us to renew this fight and revitalize the fight towards making sure that nobody, and when I say nobody, regardless of your status in society, will be left untouched if you destroy the lands. Because you go to these communities where mining is ongoing, is a dangerous one. Dead pits have been created as a result of that. Farmers, the lands of farmers, sometimes have been taken from them by luring them with monies, at times by directly pushing them out of their business. And in the case of Agyemang, the court documents that we've seen, we are told that she deliberately engaged in her activities on the pathways to the farms of these people, to the extent that they couldn't access their farms anymore, that they had to give into her demands. So we need to take this seriously, not to talk about the challenge that we will face as a people in accessing potable water.
So for you, largely, it really has to do with the political line and as far as this fight is concerned, which many have even questioned why President Akufo-Addo will be meeting chiefs who have said that they are not involved in illegal mining. And in that instance, he said that anyone who is found complicit as far as illegal mining is concerned, government appointee party member will not be shielded. This is where we really want to see President Akufo-Addo take that decisive action, take that bold step to ensure that people, particularly those in his political space, found engaging in this particular issue, are made to face the full rigors of the law. But the government has announced the new farm gate price for cocoa. Details of that in the following video.
Government has pegged the producer price for cocoa at 800 cedis per bag of 64 kilogram for the 2022-2023 crop season. Now, this depicts a 21% increase from the 10,560 cedis per ton to 12,800 cedis per ton. We have more in this report filed by Citi News' Ni Ayikwe Okain.
Cocoa production has been one of the major backbones of Ghana's economy. As a second leading world cocoa producer, it has registered an annual minimum cocoa beans output of 700,000 metric tons since 2012. The 2020-2021 crop season recorded an estimated 1.1 million metric tons in cocoa beans production. To finance the purchase of cocoa beans for the 2022-2023 crop season, the Ghana Cocoa Board signed a $1.1 billion cocoa syndicated loan on Monday with an expectation of hitting an 850,000 metric tons after missing last year's target. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Akoto, on Wednesday announced a 21% increase in the producer price of cocoa from the previous 660 Ghana cedis to 800 Ghana cedis for the 2022-2023 crop season.
We are pleased to announce that the government of Ghana has increased the producer price of cocoa by 21% from 10,560 cedis per metric ton to 12,800 cedis per metric ton. The producer price represents 89.99% of the net FOB value. This figure translates into 800 cedis per bag of 64 kilogram gross weight and takes effect from Friday, 7th October 2022. A 21% rise in the producer price of cocoa is a testament to government's resolve to ensure farmers earn a decent income and make cocoa farming lucrative. Government will continue to implement initiatives to build a robust, resilient, and sustainable cocoa industry where cocoa farmers and their communities will thrive.
Speaking to journalists, a representative of the cocoa farmers on the Ghana Cocoa Board, Nana Obeng Akrofi, says although the increase is inadequate, farmers would manage the price adjustment.
Asking for more, but according to the price of the world price, I think it's okay.
How much were you expecting to get?
Well, about 1,000 cedis, but according to the world price, I think it's not good for us. We are going to explain it to them. I am a chief farmer. I will organize my farmers and explain if you critical points to them, and then they will understand.
But at a time where farmers are giving out their lands to illegal miners, is this amount quite substantial to help?
Well, how you compare the Galamsey to it's not good. But we cannot do anything. The world price is too low. You cannot give any farmer a very high price than world price. So I think it's good.
How much would you have suggested for it to have been increased?
Oh, that's 1,000 cedis. It's okay. But
Well, from 660 Ghana cedis to 800 Ghana cedis per bag, that's 21%. A fair price, competitive enough to protect our farmers, especially at the time they are exchanging their farmlands for galamsey.
Well, from the players within the space, they are saying that even though not enough, it goes in line with world prices. Côte d'Ivoire, we are told, relatively about 850 Ghana cedis per bag. The minority, on the other hand, are very strong on their point that at least 1,000 Ghana cedis per bag would have been helpful.
So for them, this 800 cedis is way too small.
Yeah, for them, that is what they are saying. And for me, in a conversation like this, the first thing that I will want to agree to is that if you look at the living conditions of our farmers, anything that gets to improve upon their livelihood and standard of living is one that I would agree to. So my initial inclination will be to agree that if in these PBCs can't purchase the bag of cocoa, 1,000 Ghana cedis per bag from these farmers, I think that is a good one. But there are a number of determinants that will go into fixing this price. And for me, I think that while this has been fixed at 800, and while perhaps the minority will continue to make its demand for the price to be pegged upwards, and government trying to explain, we should, even at this particular 800 Ghana cedis, we should make sure that the cocoa farmers are not shortchanged. Beyond not being shortchanged, I think that if we really, and the minister made a point that the reason for pegging this is to improve the livelihood of these cocoa farmers. And I think that there are other things that we can do to make their life better. For instance, the fertilizer that they have to use for their farming. So the equipment generally, equipment and materials needed for farming, the ones that government ought to provide for them should be provided for them without any level of discrimination. And this suggests that government will have to look into the issue of fertilizer smuggling seriously.
Well, but even for Cocoa Board, having listened to the Director of Public Affairs on Point of View yesterday, he thought that the issue goes beyond, just the pricing, because he felt that most of these farmers are not exposed to a lot of things, and then they do not have the requisite education. Because look, he made the point that some chiefs are even taking over the lands from the farmers by force, and even farmers are exchanging their farmlands at price way too low because they don't have that education there. So he says that they are going to provide some form of legal support and sensitization to help farmers deal with this particular issue.
You see, and for me, of course, you will talk about education, but we also have to be very mindful. And sometimes when we talk about education, we look at it in the sense of the structural and formal education. Even though some of these cocoa farmers have not had formal education, but I think that the basics of livelihood and surviving, they understand it very well. And we've seen clips where a lot of people have made arguments and posed the question that I'm a cocoa farmer who has been farming for 30 years and do not have anything to show. Somebody comes to my house and says, I want your farm for mining, and I'm giving you 100,000 cedis or 1 million Ghana cedis. This is money the cocoa farmer would not have dreamt of ever having. So beyond you saying that you're going to educate them, if they don't feel that the other option is better than what those people are providing, no matter the level of education that you give, they will still go in and give out their farm. So I think that the Cocoa Board and relevant government stakeholders should take note that until there's a renewal of the mind and people stop hunting for cocoa farms for illegal mining, they are in competition. And the earlier they make the lives of these cocoa farmers better, the best for all of us. And just to end it, the issue about the pension scheme for cocoa farmers. I think that Cocoa Board has indicated that they want to scale it up beyond the piloting.
The $1.13 billion cocoa syndicated loan is also in. So let's see how all of this will improve the lives of cocoa farmers in the country. But this is still CNR Extra live here on Citi TV. Still to come. Ukrainian arrested for attempting to bribe a police officer after he was arrested for flouting traffic regulations on the Accra-Tema motorway during Citi TV's War Against Indiscipline campaign. We are back with that story. You're welcome back to CNR Extra. Well, imagine being arrested for breaking a road regulation and on top of it, arrested for bribing the police officer who apprehended you. That's the story of a Ukrainian who was captured in Citi Against Indiscipline campaign.
Now, a Ukrainian has been arrested by the police for attempting to bribe a police officer after he was arrested for conducting wrong U-turn on the Accra-Tema motorway. He has since been charged with 5 counts of offences, which include attempted bribery of a police officer with 400 Ghana cedis, obstructing traffic and wrongful U-turn, amongst others. His vehicle has been impounded at the airport police station and he is expected in the La Motor Court on Thursday, October 6, 2022. There's more in this report.
Against indiscipline by the Citi TV crew and the police has just started this morning, and some officers, some persons have been arrested already, vehicles impounded, and another one just did a U-turn again, and the police officer is making all frantic efforts to stop that vehicle.
Brother, why did you use that thing? Why did you make that thing there? You know, there was a blockade there. They placed some blockade, yellow blockade there. Why did you use that?
There was somebody who was there at that time. There was a guy who removed the blockade. I cannot remove it.
It's an offense. You're not supposed to use that 10. It's very dangerous. Okay? So do you have any reason? Do you have any good reason that made you use that unapproved route?
To be frank with you, somebody is supposed to pick here around 5:30. 5:30 to school, from Boche to Tema school, but he did not come. So I will just drop one of his younger brother, and I was told to carry him. Yes. But she's late. School.
So this gentleman by name Richard Belson has also conducted a wrong U-turn on the motorway, and he said he was rushing to Tema to take this small girl to school, but he actually paid someone at the U-turn at the toll booth where he was allowed to use the wrong U-turn on the motorway. So now his vehicle has been impounded and he's pleading.
I don't know what is going to happen, but I want to know.
Tomorrow morning. That is what is going to happen to you. Tomorrow morning, between 8 and 9, you will put before court at La Motor Court, okay?
But there is no sign that there is no way there's so.
Permitting you to use the stretch, true or false? Thank you.
Now, it is obvious that there is somebody there. Even when the blockade is there, the person goes ahead to open the place for them. It's not allowed, even if someone invites you to commit an offense. Do you proceed to pay for it?
They look like people who work in that toll booth. They are in that office.
How are they dressed for you to perceive that they look like people who work?
Some of them wear reflective vests, and they are in that office.
The reflective vest is just like 10 cedis in the market. So I can also buy one and then station myself there just to engage in this kind of lucrative activity.
What I'm saying is that the road is blocked with traffic borders. And then when you get there, they raise it for you. And we heard that they said they've abolished the tolls. So it's like you are allowed to pass there. So people think, if people are not seeing the police there, they think it's... I saw the police there, I thought it was
So
allows.
ordinarily, you are not to make a U-turn on a motorway if you are a licensed driver and you know that.
Sure.
So why would you even proceed if somebody law for their actions?
Oh, look at him. Hey, film that guy.
Shortly after, a Ukrainian national was brought in by the police dispatch riders.
This man now is come and bring this car. So we were actually going to Ghana. This car. What's that?
400 Ghana. I've arrested him for trying to bribe police officer. This is the man.
Here for a while with us,
I understand,
and I don't think it was in the right direction for you to offer this to the police.
I agree with you 100%, but as you understand, I'm under pressure, and we need to, no matter what happens, I need to deliver them at least to ministry. After that, we can deal with you. I don't have a problem.
No problem.
But I cannot let them use taxi or Uber to go to.
So you make a wrong turn, you are arrested, you try bribing the police officer. I think that's a high level of impunity. I just want to believe that the appropriate authorities will deal with this particular expert. But that's our show for today. This has been CNR Extra live here on Citi TV. I'm grateful to you, Hanson, for making an appearance on the show. Thank you so much for watching. This is Citi TV. Keep watching. It's your world.